Previously on the Pastorschronicles.
You got to think about Hollywood real quick, because Hollywood is nothing but the Bible or the synagogues of Satan. So why is it, okay, if this was fake news, why is it that Captain America stands in between a Corona beer image and on the right hand side an image of a virus? Why out of all the whole city of New York, I guess it's New York, New York. Why is it that, is it New York? I don't know if it's New York or not, but anyway, why is it that this man stands in between a Corona beer image and an image of a virus? Come on, people. This is hidden messages in plain sight. This is not fake news. This is not nothing that people are making up. This is predictive programming. And so people are so lost and brainwashed by mass media and by the hellish matrix movies that's distracting people, turning people away from the will of God, to a point that God is even allowing the people to do this stuff so you can see it, so you can wake up. You know, the Bible gives a description of how people are going to be in the last days. The word of God said, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the last days or the latter times, some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. People, this is watered down mainstream Christianity, and this is Hollywood, all mingled together to distract you from seeing the truth in plain sight. People, this is right in front of us. Remember, you see what they want you to see. You see what they want you to see, and this is God only allowing it. So if you look on the far left hand side, you see where I got my red arrow. Look at the eagle right there. You see the eagle on the far left side? What is that, people? That represents the logo of the United States of America. You got the United States of America right there on the left hand side, and then you got the Corona beer image right there on the left hand side also of Captain America, and you got the virus image on the right hand side. People, that's a message right now. Wake up. You are seeing what they want you to see. And listen, they telling you that what we're saying is fake. It's right in your face. You just have to accept it by faith.
If you want to know, who's in charge, just think about who you can and can't criticize. You should wear a face covering at all times. Practice social distancing. Wash our hands regularly, not to enter common areas if we're experiencing symptoms of a respiratory illness, including headache, fever, and cough. Remember, we're all in this together. Now that the fact-checking keyboard commandos, social media administrators, and thought police have been pacified, let's get down to business. A world government regime is being implemented right before our very eyes, using COVID as the Trojan horse. It's a scientific dictatorship being guided by the principles of eugenics, operating as a psyop under the guise of a pandemic using medical martial law. If you want a vision of the future, imagine a boot stamping on the human face. Forever. George Orwell, 1984. Countless people will hate the New World Order and will die protesting against it. H.G. Wells, The New World Order, 1939. We shall have a world government, whether we like it or not. The only question is whether world government will be achieved by consent or by conquest. James Warburg, February 17, 1950.
All right, people, before we get into the Chronicle, YouTube is attacking this channel. They actually took down chapter 12E. And the reason for that is because that Chronicle breaks down how the coronavirus was predicted. You got a lot of whistleblowers, you got a lot of videos that reveal that predictive programming and how this is not a pandemic, but a plandemic. YouTube seen that it was a lot of truth in that video that they took it down, okay? So if you want to see chapter 12E, go to tpchronicles.com. Go there and type in The Walking Dead chapter 12E, or you may see it on the home page. So listen, people, share it, man. I mean, that, is, I'm not going to, complain about it, what they did, because it only shows me that I am, by the grace of God, hitting where it hurts. So people, please, we have to do something about this. We have to do something about this. If you sit and do nothing, you're going to be a part of this pandemic and depopulation. Welcome back to another episode of the Pastor's Chronicles. Before we get started, I would like to invite you to click the link below and join me on Facebook, the Pastor's Chronicles. Also, I would like for you to follow me on Instagram, where you have a lot of updates there. And also join me on my platform, the Pastor's Chronicles. And you can subscribe to that too. And also I want you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Click the bell so you can get updates and whatnot, so you won't. And I'm dropping right now Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so people, please come back. And I usually drop around 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come through and check me out, because people are not getting notifications. Upon that note, let's get started with the next part of this Chronicles. And we're going to start this Chronicle off like this.
Erin Elizabeth Health Nut News. I wanted to report on the 45-year-old California nurse, Matthew W., they do not release his last name, who received the COVID-19 vaccine 1 week ago, then began developing symptoms and now is positive for COVID. Our heart goes out to his friends and family. We hope that he will be better. He was an ER nurse, and this is just starting to break in mainstream. We will give you updates soon. This is Erin Elizabeth, healthnutnews.com.
Okay, auction time. Seems like everyone here has got the fever for the flavor. Alana, what are the headlines?
Flooding in Tennessee is expected to continue through the weekend. President Pence plans to visit the affected areas. The Federal Pandemic Agency has released new guidelines for combating the emerging viral outbreak.
It's under the ground.
What do you mean?
It's a bunker. It's like a bomb shelter or something where paranoid people go and live when they think it's the end of the world. Talk about overreacting. It's just a bad flu season. You wash your hands, you don't buy a bunker, am I right? Oh, oh no. There's got to be a vaccine.
Pamela, we talked about this. There is no vaccine.
Well, something fishy's going on, if you ask me. You mean to tell me the President of the United States doesn't have a vaccine?
And there's the presidential hearse as they head towards Arlington Cemetery. Michael Richard Pence, 46th President of the United States, dead at the age of 61.
Pamela, is that you? I love your bag outfit. Yeah. Safety first. So, interesting times. And, Robert? Oh, he's a little under the weather. Well, I, should be going. What are you doing in there?
I think it's best that I stay in here for the time being.
Do you have it?
I think so.
Air seal initiated.
Refried beans? Why didn't you fry them right the first time? Ugh. Oh, well, this is fun. Let's see what else we have. Desert, rainforest, city street, prairie, country field with an old red barn, Sphinx! Sphinx! There she is. He? There she is. He? Look, I know things are grim, but at least we're safe here. And I bet you there are lots of other bunkers out there just filled with scientists working on a vaccine as we speak. And once they figure it out, they'll give us the all clear and we'll be able to go back home. All right, there you go, Pamela, leveling off. Oh, I can see everything. Well, if it isn't news anchor Lester Holt. Today's news, yum, yum. Today's news. Oh, what do we have over here? Je m'appelle Pamela Brinton. I'm in a bunker. Please come find me. No!
Fatal error. Unit lost.
Please take this time to subscribe, hit the bell to turn on your notifications. You may need to come back sometime Tuesdays and Thursdays around 5:45 Eastern Standard Time because YouTube believes in shadow blocking, which means everyone will not get notifications because what they're trying to do is destroy all channels like this that exposes what the enemies are doing.
We all believe we'd run into the burning building. We all believe we'd run into the burning building. But until we feel that heat, we can never know. You do. You chose to die instead of giving up your colleagues.
These little rice grain-sized microchips put into their hands, which contain information that they can use to, say, check into the gym or get into the office or pay for train tickets, right?
That test you passed? Not everybody does. Welcome to the afterlife.
To do what I do, I need some idea of the threat we face.
As I understand it, we're trying to prevent World War III.
nuclear holocaust.
No. Something worse.
All I have for you is a word. Tell it. It'll open the right doors, some of the wrong ones too.
Start looking at the world in a new way.
Don't try to understand it. Feel it.
What'll happen here?
Hasn't happened yet.
The ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one world government run by the banking industry, run by the bankers, and they're doing it in sections. The European currency, the euro, and the European Constitution is one part of it. Now they're trying to do it in America with the North American Union, right? And they want to create a new currency called the Amero, right? And the whole agenda is to create a one world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. And this is given me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And all money will be in your chips. And so instead of having cash, anytime you have money in your chip, they can take out whatever they want to take out whenever they want to. If they say you owe us this much money in taxes, they just deduct it out of your chip digitally.
Total control.
Total control. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip. And you have nothing. You can't buy food. You can't do anything. It's total control of the people.
And that chip's connected to a database that has your purchasing records, what you do, what
everything.
you sell.
Everything is in there, you know? And so they want a one world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips, and they control people, and you become a slave, you become a serf to these people. That's their goal, that's their intentions.
Eric, can you be specific about when you met Rockefeller, how it happened in these discussions?
I met Rockefeller through a female attorney I knew who called me up one day and said, one of the Rockefellers would like to meet you. I made a video called Mad as Hell, and he'd seen the video and wanted to meet me and knew I was running for governor of Nevada. So sure, I'd love to meet him. And I met him and I liked him, and he was a very, very smart man. And we used to talk and share ideas and thoughts. And he's the one who told me 11 months before 9/11 ever happened that there was going to be an event. Never told me what the event was going to be, but there was going to be an event. And out of that event, we were going to invade Afghanistan to run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We were going to invade Iraq, to take over the oil fields, establish a base in the Middle East, and make it all part of the New World Order. And there's going to be this war on terror, of which there's no real enemy, and the whole thing is a giant hoax, but it's a way for the government to take over the American people. 9/11 was done by people in our own government and our own banking system to perpetuate the fear of the American people into subordinating themselves to anything the government wants them to do.
Okay, people, I don't endorse the 700 Club because I believe that this guy right here, he throws up signs, Masonic signs, but there's someone that he brought on, which is a whistleblower, and there's a lot of things that he has to say. This is why I want you to see this video in this part of the Chronicle, so you can understand. There's people still all about freedom and here to expose what's actually going on in high places.
Listen, it's shocking. It's written about in the book of Revelation. Could it ever happen? The answer is, unfortunately, yes. Total population control. Bill Binney says that's what the National Security Agency wants. He should know. He was technical director of that agency and worked there for more than 30 years. He became one of their top analysts, perhaps the best code breaker in America, before he resigns because of their domestic spying programs. He's with us now from Washington. Bill, thank you so much for being with us. We're glad to see you.
Well, thanks for having me, Pat.
Look, how big is this apparatus of the NSA? We hear about it, but you know firsthand.
Well, I think there are about 40,000 people working at Fort Meade at NSA headquarters, close to 40,000. And then they have facilities all around the world, plus a number of contractors also associated, probably on the order of 100,000, I would think, to 200,000 that work for them directly. So it's a rather large operation. I mean, it's between $10 and $15 billion a year. that they spend on it ever since 9/11. So that's quite a bit of money they're investing in it.
How much data can they acquire? Is there any limit to it?
Actually, the only limit is in terms of money, power, availability, and space to stack equipment to go and collect the material.
Well, now you've said that the ultimate goal is total population control. In a democracy, that is really scary business.
It's actually a totalitarian process that's been used down through history. I mean, that's what totalitarian dictators, states, that's what they want to do. They want to know everything about the population so they can control it. That was the idea behind the Soviet Union, the East German Stasi, that was their idea, and the Gestapo and the SS, and down through history, many others.
Is our stuff more powerful than those agencies you mentioned?
Yeah, unfortunately it is. That's the real problem I see, is that the capacity is, when you're looking at electronic activity of individuals, like when you use a credit card, or when you make a phone call or email anybody on the internet, or do chatter on the internet, that can be monitored in near real time if they're necessary. Otherwise, they can capture it, collect it, store it, and then retroactively analyze it. So it's something that it provides the opportunity to monitor everybody in the country, in fact, most everybody in the world, in near real time throughout the day. And that's really a 1984 on steroids, really.
All right, now let's take Mrs. Joe Average living in Topeka, Kansas, and she goes to the store and buys something with a credit card. NSA's got that right then?
They have electronic data. They'll collect financial transactions, sure.
She calls her friend Myrtle down the street. That phone is monitored, that call?
Not all of them, but a good many of them are recorded. Certainly all of the fact that she made that call is recorded and stored, and what we call graft, that is building relationships. That's one of the real problems here. This is a violation of your First Amendment rights. Under the Constitution, you have the right to assemble, free assembly, which means that it doesn't say you have the right to free assembly as long as the government knows about it, which is what's happening when the telecommunications companies turn over all their records of phone calls to and from with duration. That tells them everybody you're contacting, your whole social network on the phone, because it's a simple matter of doing a reverse lookup to see who that is that you're calling.
Oh, you quit the agency because you said what they were doing is unconstitutional. That is clearly unconstitutional, but why does the government keep on doing it?
Oh, it's huge. It's the event of the hour. It goes by other names. Perhaps they've heard Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, even the Green New Deal. It's all part of the Great Reset, which was established by the World Economic Forum. It's been around 50 years. Klaus Schwab is the head of it. It's the ultimate globalist outfit, is the World Economic Forum. Folks can go to their website and just read their plans, which are stunning, just simply stunning. It's global socialism, Marxism, and it's global government. And it's godless global government. There isn't one among them who would be a believer in anything but big government, in socialism, in communism.
That's the reason I've been able to, at least from what I can see in the public domain, is they're doing it for law enforcement worldwide. And actually the main users of this data are in fact FBI and the Drug Enforcement Administration. and other law enforcement agencies in the country. And they use this data to find criminal activity, and then they go arrest people based on this information. Then they have to do a parallel construction, which means they use normal policing techniques that they would be expected to use to find evidence that would justify and show probable cause for an arrest. Then they substitute that for the NSA data in the courts. In fact, that's one of the things that happened in challenging that process. Was one of the lawsuits was Amnesty International versus Clapper, and that made it to the Supreme Court. And the only way they got rid of that was to basically lie to the Supreme Court and say that, well, if anybody had any of this data used against them in the court of law or anything, that the defendants would be told. And that was simply a lie. Nobody has been told to date.
All right. When I think of this, it's just horrible. But do they give this information to the IRS?
That's the other problem. The Drug Enforcement Administration has a special unit, the Special Operations Division, the SOD, and that division is supposed to, its primary purpose is to look into the NSA data to find criminality and criminal activity. The members of that are the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, of course DEA, DHS, and the IRS.
See, people, for some time, we were all called nutcases. We were all called conspiracy theorists. You don't think Noah was called that when he was preaching about the destruction of the world then? People, we are talking about the destruction of the world now. You see, this brings us to the conclusion of The Walking Dead. Depopulation, first, in order for you to become the Walking Dead, you have to be programmed to where you don't think. Zombies don't think. The only thing they think about is survival. You have to not think. You have to be programmed to a point where you will not believe in the word of God. You will not believe in whistleblowers. You will not believe in people like me. You are zombies now, and you are ready to be put down. You see, people, there's not going to be a lot of people in the New World Order anyway. You know what? The Bible tells us that it will be God that depopulate this world. The Bible said that this world was given to the meek. And because men slept, Adam, men slept, the enemy sowed tares. People who totally reject the will of God. And so these people, God said He's going to cut off the sinner. He gave Christ to die the death so the sinner can be saved. But the sinner want to continue to be blind and live in transgression. So what's happening is the elites are turning people into natural living zombies who are programmed to believe every single thing that they tell them. And these very people will be put down. In all these zombie apocalypse, what did they do with the zombies? They killed them. They killed them off. The zombie apocalypse is none other than depopulation. And so these whistleblowers are telling you, if you look at the Terminator, things of that nature, in the Terminator, the world was depopulated. The world was depopulated. So if you look at it, these whistleblowers, people like me, we are telling you the truth. What are we doing about it? We doing nothing. We sitting doing nothing. You know, the Bible said the just shall live by faith, and faith without works are dead. What are we doing? We sitting back trusting in man when the Bible said, curses he that trusts in man, curses he who trusts in man who cannot save, who cannot help you. People, the governments are joining together. They are joining together to destroy your constitution and your freedom. And you to them are none other than zombies walking around that they can bash on your head and destroy you if you don't go according to the New World Order. The mask you are wearing that you think that's keeping you from receiving COVID, it comes off after they've accomplished what they set forth to do. Depopulation. God is giving us all the info, all the information to understand what's happening. The Bible is predicted of a one world government. The Bible predicted of a new world order, a one world religion, which is sun worship. But what are you doing about it? Nothing but living in sin, believing what mass media is telling you. This man is telling you that all the government officials, the government, everything, they're joining together worldwide to spy on you. To spy on you to take away your liberty.
Now that means that the IRS has access to all the data of the social networks of everybody in the country, because NSA builds those in the databases that they have from the billing data or the contact data that's provided by the telecommunications companies. So this in effect allows them, if they're interested in stopping anybody getting a 501c3 application in for tax exempt status for say someone in the Tea Party or the Occupy group or any religious group attempting to get 501c3 or tax exempt status, they could look into that mapped, graphed relationships and see if you're a part of any organization that they perhaps want to stonewall or slow roll and prevent from becoming politically active. And that's what's been going on. They've had access to this data. And one person was testifying in the House and Judiciary Committee, I believe it was, about some of the questions they were being asked by the IRS. And one of the questions that was asked that gave me the idea that they were using this information was this one person was asked, what is their relationship with another person? It was a specific name. Well, the question I had was not what was their relationship, but how did the IRS know about that relationship? The only way I could think of that they would know was be through this access to the data in NSA, which is where all that information is mapped out.
So what you're saying is the NSA slips this stuff to them, they read it, get a clue, and then they go through their normal procedures and act like they didn't get the information, they got it from another source, so they pull the wool over Congress. You know, the congressman, yes, go ahead.
And they also use that in court, which means in my sense that means they're perjuring themselves in court. So I call that a planned program perjury policy run by the Department of Justice of the United States.
And leaders of this movement, Klaus Schwab, Prince Charles, Bill Gates, George Soros, Dr. Anthony Fauci, probably another 24. It's a very, very dark agenda, Nathan.
What's the end goal for this agenda?
You know, I'm horrified at all this, and I'm sure the average American, you know, most of the congressmen they come out of neighborhoods and they're elected by the people. Do you think Congress has even a clue as to what you're talking about?
Probably not a complete clue, but I think that's part of the reason that Representatives Amos and Conyers got a coalition of members of the House to try to unfund NSA's activity last year. They almost made it by about 12 votes. They lost by 12 votes, but they came pretty close for a first try. So there is a move in Congress to limit and stop this, and it really is all of this activity it's unconstitutional under the First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments. The first, because they're giving your associations and everything, the government is collecting that data. The fourth, because they're looking at the content. It's not just metadata that they're collecting, it's content also. And the fifth, because they're using data that the content of data that you pass between your friends and neighbors, and use that against you in a court of law. That's a violation of the Fifth Amendment. That is to have you can claim the Fifth Amendment not to testify against yourself. Well, that's a violation of that too.
How come some little guy didn't come after you in the middle of the night, or have they?
They have, actually. They sent the FBI at me in 2007 and tried to intimidate me to stay quiet.
One world system. And they would tell you that it is godless global government they seek, which of course the Bible outlines in Revelation 13. But they have to get rid of certain things before they can implement this. They have to get rid of anybody in office who, can I be blunt, loves their country. You can't love your country. You got to love the world. You got to love every country on earth. And you got to be willing to almost sell your soul to this global cabal. And that's what they are. They're a global cabal. And when you see the word cabal, understand that's evil.
What about Snowden? Is he a traitor or a hero?
I looked at him as doing an absolute public service, not just to the people of this country, but to the world, because he produced evidence that's irrefutable by our government. That's the crimes against the Constitution and the laws that we had over time anyway. So that was irrefutable evidence of what they were doing, and so they cannot deny it now.
What kind of megalomaniac would want to do something like this? Is monstrous, and these guys, I mean, where does the mindset come from that devises all this stuff?
I don't know too much about the Bilderberg Group or the Illuminati,
yes.
or they throw those words around out there as this cabal. Is this what we're talking about? Some kind of, they transcend the borders of countries to work together towards implementing a global government?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts. There's probably 100 smaller organizations, such as, well, again, Illuminati and even the United Nations, even organizations that people think, haven't they kind of faded from the scene? Well, they're all merging, and they're merging into this, again, World Economic Forum. I believe the website is weforum.org, but if you go to that website, you would, and want to read it, you'd have to spend at least 2 weeks on it because it's so extensive. Their plans are so extensive. And again, nobody can be a nationalist and be a part of this movement. They met here in January 2021. They're going to meet in May 2021. And at these two meetings here in 2021, they will lay out the plan and they will proceed from there to attain one world global government.
My goodness. I went to that website and looked at some of what they're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
Eliminate national sovereignty and independence, destroy and replace the free enterprise economic system, eliminate private property, own nothing but still be happy, abolishing Christianity, moving to a cashless society and a universal income. And one even said, everyone will be equal, everyone will be secure from the ravages of competition, and as a result, the whole world will be happy and be at peace. Are they going to?
Well, that's what I objected to and why I left NSA early on back in 2001, because I saw this coming. I mean, I had worked the Soviet Union problem for almost 30 years, and it was very clear to me that in October of 2001, the NSA and the government, the U.S. government, started adopting the procedures and techniques and processes that the Soviet Union and the Stasi and all of the countries behind the Iron Curtain were using. So we were actually adopting their procedures. It was very clear to me that that was what was going on.
All right, last question. The average person doesn't have a vestige of knowledge of what you're talking about. They just trust their government. What are we going to do as citizens?
And looked at some of what they're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
Eliminate national sovereignty and independence, destroy and replace the free enterprise economic system, eliminate private property, own nothing but still be happy, abolishing Christianity, moving to a cashless society and a universal income. And one even said, everyone will be equal, everyone will be secure from the ravages of competition, and as a result, the whole world will be happy and be at peace. Are they going to?
Well, you see, let me say something about that first. That's really the problem here in this country. You see, from what I see is, we have not had a dictator in this country for almost since George III, for almost 240 years. So we've been very comfortable over those 240 years, at least, kind of depending on our government to do the right thing. Thing. And that's what we've all been accustomed to them doing. That is, we trust them and have trusted them for a long time. And so we don't have that knowledge of what dictators and dictatorial processes are. But if you look at it, the Germans today are the ones who are really upset about this. And the reason they're upset is because they've got living memory of the Stasi and living memory of the SS and Gestapo. So they're very familiar with these techniques and procedures, and that's why they're very upset. To me, I think the only way we can get out of this is to fire everybody in D.C. I think that's the only way to do it. You have to go out and vote. You have to get active. You can't stay quiet and let this happen. You have to stand up and oppose it.
Bill Benny, thank you so much. You're a great patriot, and keep speaking out. And oh, we'll ask prayer for you, for your protection, because I can't imagine they're going to let you keep on talking, but maybe they will.